I mean names. I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. All right, good. We got a nice little crowd here. This is awesome. Everybody's at home. Wonderful. Hey, if just while we're waiting for everybody to come in, can anybody, if you unmute yourself, give me a little, just a few people, just give me some background. Are any of you guys ops managers? Are you guys TCs? Are you listings? Are you general executive admins? What are you guys at this point?
Hi, I could go.
Yeah, go for it.
My name's Kim Thompson. I work Keller Williams, obviously, Fair Hinton, Chicago, Milwaukee. So we're in the Chicago, Milwaukee market, and I am a listing manager, but in the position for about like 8-ish months, I would say.
Okay, so the size of your team, you separate transaction manager from listing manager at this point?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And some teams, it's just interesting because every team is going to be a little bit different. You've got some that they say they're a transaction coordinator, but they're literally handling it from listing to post close. And so transaction coordinator and listing manager just mean different things to different teams. So good. How big is, as far as the admin side, how big is your team?
So we have, Brianna here is to my right. She's the TC. We have Molly Mudd, operations, and then we just actually hired a new TC for our Milwaukee market. Actually, she just signed like yesterday, so we're super excited to bring her on. So there's four of us now. You
guys are actually working with expansion then?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
Okay, or just getting started with it or what have you. So our experience with expansion is we were in the Minneapolis market, and in Minneapolis we started expanding more locally, things that were 45 minutes to maybe 2 to 3 hours away. And I think we probably ended up networking with between 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 different market centers. Then all of a sudden, boom, New York happened. All of a sudden, Florida happened. Pennsylvania happened, Louisiana happened. So we were going from an admin team that knew Minnesota, which was a title state, to our next state was New York, which is an attorney state. So all of that type of dynamic is interesting. So as you guys work with expansion, that's just a big part of my heart. I love that stuff. So anyways, if you ever want to just jump on a call and mastermind around that, that's a topic I'm crazy passionate about as well. So you guys, any topics you guys bring up, I'll probably get real geeky about it. I love this stuff. I'm still I got in this business back in 97 and I love it more now than I ever loved it back in 97. I'm just a geek on the whole thing, so I love it. So anybody else, what other roles, or tell me a little bit about your team? A couple of you are from one team, so that's good. Kathy, Sheridan, Peter, anybody?
I can go. Can you hear me? Renee Ferrara, I manage the transaction management team for Focus Titles. So we do transaction management for primarily KW agents in all of our offices.
Okay.
And we have 6 people on our team. We have a listing and contract specialist, so she does all of our listings.
Okay.
And then we have 1 behind the scenes admin and then 4 transaction coordinators.
Okay, so I love that's a whole different perspective then. That you're almost more.
I don't know if this will pertain as much to me.
100% it will. 100% it will. So
we have a platform that we use.
Yeah, because you guys are more of an independent transaction coordination company, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is, and just the fact that you brought that up is, I don't know that this would apply to me, is in the course, because there is a course called email management, and I almost laugh at this course. This course is so embarrassing to me, guys. You have no idea. It's here's the deal is have you ever had to repeat yourself so many times and you're like, if I could just record what I say, and then anytime, I mean, this is just being more efficient, scalable, duplicatable, everything else like that. If every time someone asked me that question or that topic come up, I could just give them that resource. I don't even have to charge them for that resource because I'm actually making money because it's saving me time. Just to get, yep, we can hear you. It just saves time and allows us to be more efficient if I can just send that to them rather than actually go through the whole process. Now, here's the other thing. You're going to find out if you ever have any dealings with me, there's two things you're probably never going to get away from. We're never, ever going to have a conversation that I don't talk about compassion, ever. Okay. Compassion is my jam. Okay. And the other thing is, you're probably not going to have a conversation with me that we don't get to talk about my hot wife. Okay. That's my deal. Okay. Those are my gigs. I married my high school sweetheart. We got together when I was 15. I'm 51 this year. And I'm super lucky because she's the one that looks more like her high school graduation photo than any one of our friends. I mean, she just looks better all the time. So here's the deal is the compassion side is this. And I'm just curious if you can agree or relate to this next statement. The reason why I record things like this email management course, and I give it away for free, which was meant for about 20 to 30 people. And now we've had a couple thousand people go through it. That was not the intent of this course in any way, shape, or form. Okay. I did it for 20 to 30 people because that would save me time with the people I was coaching and the teams I was coaching and everything else like that. But here's the real reason why you want to do things like this. And if you have something that you need to share with people on a regular basis, it's good to record it because of this. Is it true with all of us, because it is with me, that some days you just show up a better version of yourself today than you showed up yesterday? And is it not true that you showed up today a better version of yourself than yesterday, but tomorrow you might not show up as a good of, maybe not quite the version of yourself tomorrow that you showed up today? Come on. Is that fair to anybody that you talk to? Mm-hmm. So I talked to 3 people, 3 days in a row. One person gets a mediocre version of this. The next day, that person, we knocked it out of the park. Man, we related to them. They connected with it. They asked questions. I gave them the best that I got because I was my best version of myself that day. The next day, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. You guys are getting your best version of me in the last 11 days, because the last 11 days, I haven't been sick in years, and I went down hard because I was wrestling with my sick grandbaby 11 days ago, okay? And I don't care how sick the grandbaby is. If she's wanting to wrestle with grandpa, we're going. Okay. I'm all about those grandchildren. So the deal is I got super sick, and I haven't been sick like that in a long time. Today, I feel like it's Christmas. I mean, this just absolutely got put on the right day because I'm back today and I'm feeling great. Okay. But here's the deal is compassion says this: everybody gets their best version. So what I did is I recorded that course. And has anybody actually gone through the course yet? And it's okay if you haven't. Okay, good. So here's the situation. The course is, it is free. I literally don't benefit an ounce by you going through it. I just don't care. But the deal is the course is free. It's at cultivatewins.com, wins with an S. And I'm going to try to make life a little bit easier for everybody. And what I will do after this, I'll send Kathleen. Kathleen, I'm going to send you a link to this page. Okay. I'll send you 2 links. I'll send you a link to this page. This is a goodie bag page. You'll get to see my squirrel. Squirrel is my dog. Okay. She's our little Tijuana rescue. She was a street dog for 2.5 years before she became a Breckheimer. Okay. And what you're going to see on this resource page, my business partner, she put this together, and most of the things that I get asked about most of the time, I want to make sure everybody gets the same answer and everybody has access to the same resources. So when you scroll down, you're going to see a link right here that says email management. You'll click on that, and that'll allow you to sign up for that for free. And the course is under 3 hours long. Now, when you get into the course, I think it's going to tell you that it's 3 hours and 24 minutes. 40 minutes of that is this next part. And then we'll dive into this a little bit. Is about 40 minutes is this ending section. And what I get asked beyond this topic is, David, where does your mindset come from? Because your head just works different. Okay. And I'm into books. I'm hardcore into books. Okay. I'm really into books. Okay. And this, there's a little video here. It's 55 seconds by Les Brown. And that Les Brown video changed my life, literally. He basically states that if there's something that means a lot to you, commit for 5 years to read one book per month, one new book per month on that topic for the next 5 years. And after 5 years, you will be in the top 5% experts in that topic in the world. I don't take that lightly. I heard that when I was about 19 years old, and what I didn't have in my life was peace and contentment. My study for over 30 years has been peace and contentment. And there are many months where I read 8 to 10 books a month just on that topic. Okay. Now, that doesn't have to be your topic. But if you ever want to talk to someone about peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, or compassion, I'm your dude. That is my jam all day long. You talk to my wife, I can go hide in another room and say, what's David's jam? What's his 5 areas? And she'll say peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. And what I've done is I've taken those things, and what's important to me is that they apply as much in my personal life and my marriage as they do in every aspect. Please don't miss this point, because this is the most important thing that I've said for me anyways so far, is those 5 areas have to apply as much in my marriage as they apply in every single aspect of my systems, period, that I build in a business. Those aren't negotiable to me. So people ask me, what books do you read? So I give a couple different book reviews on a couple of those books that are important to me. So where does that come in? And we'll just quickly hit a few things first before we dive hardcore into the email management and why it applies to every role. Is what you're going to find from me, I suppose I should show one more thing, is if you go to the goodie bag page, you're going to see today that I'm going to throw some graphics up on the screen. And what I did is I asked my creative partner here to put all of kind of the graphics that the average person asks me. Hey, I saw you use this graphic in a talk. Can I get a copy of that graphic? What she did is every single one of these are clickable. And if you click on it, like the 5x5, you click on it, it will actually not just open the graphic, it's going to actually open it so that you can open it as a template inside your own Canva. So if you like any of the graphics that we're working with today, you can actually use this resource, open it in your Canva, literally change the logo, change the company colors, any verbiage that you want, and then tell everyone under God's green earth that you invented this stuff. I don't care. That's all good with me, okay? It's yours. And from there, you're going to see that everything that I do, and it's non-negotiable, needs to be what I call the 5x5. And this does apply to the way that I look at my marriage and the way that I look at email management, okay? Everything that we need to do, everything that we design in our business needs to be scalable, needs to be duplicatable. It needs to be freakishly predictable. One of the lines in our industry, or phrases, or whatever you want to call it, that seems to be super popular, that I have a chip on my shoulder about, and I admit it, is when people say, I want to be more proactive. I think that's pathetic. Why would I say that? Because we think and we treat being proactive as a high standard. And I think it's the bare minimum. Here's why I say that. Now I'm going to make a statement and think in your head if you think that this is accurate. Is proactive really that impressive, or is proactive just being reactive just a little bit sooner in the process? That's really what it is. If I'm being proactive, I'm still being reactive. I'm just doing it a little sooner in the process. And here's what I'm going to say. There's not a single part of your business that 85% of it doesn't happen repeatedly over and over again. Everything that happens in a transaction, everything that happens in lead gen, everything that happens in a listing, everything that happens in contract to post close, everything that happens in title, everything that happens in mortgage, 85% of it is exactly the same every single time. And anybody who says it's not is kidding themselves, lying to themselves, and they are not helping themselves in this business, because people like to say this, every transaction is different. No, it's not. Grow up. It's not. 85% of what happens in one transaction happens in every transaction. What's different? The personalities that surround it. That's fine. But it's still the same thing. If 85% of your business is just freakishly predictable, 85% of your business should not be proactive. You should know that 85% happens every single time, and you should put a system in place that is freakishly predictable. I am not proactive. I am freakishly predictable. Now, 85% that happens, if that's predictable and I have a system for it, now think of your emails. If I have an email template for 85% of what's going to happen, when you send that email, don't most emails have some type of feedback? You send a message and you get replies back. Think about it from this point of view. Are there infinite amount of replies back? No. That's predictable as well. So not only is your business predictable, but every action you take has a reaction, and those reactions, 85% of that or 95% of that is also predictable. So I can already have the replies for the replies already pre-thought out and written out too. How deep does your system go? How freakishly predictable can you be? Now, when I ran an admin department, I could say this next line to my agents. Agents, I'm going to be the most predictable thing in your life. And then they'll grimace or smile or whatever it is. And I will then finish the sentence with this. I didn't say most predictable thing in your business. I said, I'm going to be the most predictable thing in your life. Literally. Because I'm going to build systems to that level that I am the most freakishly predictable thing in their life. And so what I've done is I take that into everything. It needs to be at that level. Why? Because it's possible to be at that level. And if you're not at that level, that 85% of everything that happens in your business, you don't have a freakishly predictable, scalable, duplicatable, efficient, and effective way of handling it, don't get hard on yourself. Grant yourself some grace and just say, I can do better and I can be better. So people see me hashtag that all the time. Hashtag be better, do better. And I take that very personally. Now, what is this other side? Why does this have to do with business? Because I look at this, whether it's your emails, when people say, when we're talking about peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion, here's the number one that gets misunderstood. Joy. I'm not here to bring my agents joy. I'm not here to bring the buyer and seller joy. I'm not here to bring my staff joy. It's not about bringing anybody joy. We're not in second grade anymore, okay? And here's what you would see in like a little meme of a bunch of junior high and high school girls. And I say this because I had junior high and high school girls, and this is the kind of stuff I would see on their Facebook and their Instagram and everything else like that. This statement's like this: find what brings you joy and do more of it. Aren't we all busy? Just the line that says do more of it stresses me out. I don't want to do more of anything. I got plenty on my plate. I'm not looking to do more. So I'm not looking to find what brings me joy and do more of it. What I do is I realize that there are things that steal my joy. So the idea of joy is not to create more joy in the transaction, create more joy in your workflow, which we'll talk about with email, okay? The idea is to realize what is stealing your joy, what is stealing your agent's joy, what is stealing your buyer's joy, what is stealing your seller's joy, what is stealing your staff's joy, and grow up and deal with it. Do you realize that if you just get rid of what's stealing your joy, and if you can't hear in the back of your head that I'm talking about systems here, come back, because I'm talking about your systems. If your systems don't do what it takes to recognize and remove anything that steals someone's joy, you could do better and you could be better. If you remove what steals joy, what's left? Just the joy. Wouldn't it just be easier to experience the joy that could exist on your team and for your buyers and your sellers and your agents and everybody else like that and your vendors? If you remove what steals the joy, the only thing that's left is the great experience that they felt. Stop worrying about delivering more and doing more, and grow up and be as self-aware as possible as to what is stealing our joy. So now let's talk about email management. Okay, so you can see this 5 by 5. My wife will tell you our marriage is based on the 5 by 5. She 100% she will. Okay. My kids know the 5 by 5. My wife knows the 5 by 5, because if you get me hardcore, I'm going to just talk about marriage the rest of the half hour, 45 minutes here. And I'll show you how I apply this in our marriage. Okay. But that is the same thing, whether I'm dealing with systems, whether I'm dealing with my admin, my team, my agents, my vendors, or anything, I'm always looking to see what's stealing our joy. Now, if I remove what's stealing the joy, isn't it easier for the buyer and seller, rather than being stressed in the transaction, they're able to experience easier, they're able to experience peace and contentment, because we removed what's stealing their joy. Why are we doing that? Because we have compassion. Do you see how this all fits together? Now, how do we achieve those things? We make sure everything that we do is freakishly predictable, duplicatable, scalable. You have to have a way to audit your systems to know, are we being efficient and are we being effective? These all tie together. And I blame Les Brown for me thinking this way, because Les Brown said, okay, 1 book per month on the same topic for 5 years. And I'm a little over the top in a lot of the areas of my life, as my wife will tell you. I'm a bit extreme, and I will read 5 to 10 books easy, 8 to 10 books every single month just on these topics, okay? So now let's talk about email management. Email management, I'm gonna recommend that you go through the course. First recommendation, go through the course and do it, and this is an important point. Go through the course and do it in a single sitting, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So why is that important? Don't treat it as, although there's individual lessons, don't treat it as though I'm going to do 2 or 3 lessons today, 2 or 3 tomorrow, 2 or 3 next week. Think of this as though you just paid good money to go to a session that's, you know, I mean, it's 3 hours long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, technically, but let's just say 3 hours long. Give yourself time to go to the bathroom, grab something to drink or whatever, okay? And sit in it as if you had to go to a class that you had to drive to and you couldn't just leave and come back and leave and come back. Do it in a single setting. Why? Let's say why in a second. Second point, don't worry about whether you learn anything from it. That's a weird thing to say about taking a course. By the way, this is how I read my books. Read it. Don't try so hard. We're trying too hard to get something out of the book while we're reading it. I'm reading it to see what the full context is first. And I'm reading it to see if it has enough value to me that I'm going to dive deeper. If you have an opportunity to go through short courses like this that are an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, I would recommend to you that if you want to get the most out of the course, sometimes you're trying so hard to get so much out of it that you're missing things along the way. Go through it in 2 to 3 hours and see what a full-blown system looks like for email management. Okay, and then you have everything in full context. Then you can go back to the parts that you want to start working on. Okay, so that's my first recommendation. Go through the course, go through it in one sitting. And then if you find any value in it, then you can go back to it as you need. Okay, so that would be my recommendation. So let me ask if anybody is willing to give me their definition. How would you define an email? What constitutes whether it's an email or not? And some of you were like, what the heck do you even mean by that? But tell me, what do you think an email is? Give me your interpretation.
An electronic communication.
Okay. Anybody else? It's a weird question because it's almost like, how do you even answer that? It's almost stupid obvious, isn't it? Okay. As you can guess, I probably might have a different answer. Okay. Something only qualifies as an email under one condition. Does it require anything of me? And that would be a line I would write down. What is an email? Something that requires something of me. Something that requires something of me. Now, when I talk to most people, I don't care if they're an admin or if they're an agent. I think these are just general numbers, but it's like everybody is scripted and they tell me the same numbers. Okay. They don't even know each other and they tell me the same numbers. I get 200 to 300 emails per day. Everybody says the same thing. I get so many emails per day. Seriously, I get like 200 to 300. And you know what my answer 9 times out of 10 is? No, you don't. And you get some people that are a little more defensive than other people. And they will reply with this. Do you want me to open my email? You want me to show you what I actually get? They're taking it kind of personally. Okay. I'm telling you this, none of you get 200 to 300 emails per day. If you define what an email is correctly. Now, what do I mean by define it correctly? To me, mental health is important. And how you define things and how you talk about things and how you speak things affects your mental health. And to say, here are the 2 phrases that you hear. I get 200 to 300 emails per day, or he's blowing up my email. He's blowing up my phone with text. That phrase blowing up. Okay. Here's the deal. If we take a look at, say, 200 emails that came in, first of all, aren't half of them, and anybody who wants to disagree with this next point, I'm totally fine with that. Raise your hand or just turn on your microphone and let's discuss it. And I mean that seriously, not fictitiously or anything like that. Aren't half of your emails really one of 2 things? One of them, they're just junk. They're marketing. They're things that you don't need to do anything with. Literally. Here's a party going on with this mortgage company. Here's this, here's that, here's this newsletter. Here's, and I love Tom Ferry and all these other guys, but geez Louise, we get on everybody's list. At least half are that and one other thing. If you're any good at your job, the rest of the half is made up of this one thing. Thanks. Thanks. Awesome. You're the best. Thanks. 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 Come on. I send 100 emails per day. And every single one of them, I'm sending them to nice people. And I do a freaking good job. And you know what they do? Thanks, Breckheimer. You're the best. If you're not getting 100 emails per day that just say thank you, do a better job. I don't know what to tell you. You should be getting thanked left and right. Okay. Half of your emails are nothing but garbage and thank you. Those 2 require nothing of you. Literally. The other half, let's just say it's 200 emails that you get today. Half of them, 100 of them are already gone. They don't even exist. The other half, someone will say, well, that's fine. I still get 100 emails. No, you don't. I just told you don't get 200 emails. Now that when you tell me you get 100, I'm going to tell you, no, you don't. What are you getting? Depending on your role, because you're all a little bit different, depending on your role, max. You don't get 100 emails. You get 8 to 12 different types of emails. So my mindset is just this. I wake up in the morning. I don't care if there is 300 emails there. If I think that I have 300 emails, does that put me in a good place to start my day? Not for me anyways. That stresses me out. I want nothing to do with that email box. In fact, I want a vacation every day. Okay. I want someone else to own my email box, something other than me dealing with 300 emails. But if I've already thought I don't have 300 emails, I have 8 to 12 different types of emails. And half of those that are in there don't even qualify for the type because they're just thank yous. So what do I see? Here's the difference between my mindset when I go to work versus someone else. I don't see that I have 300 emails. out of 300 emails, I have about 150 notes of gratitude. I have about 150 people that said, Breckheimer, you're the best. Breckheimer, thanks. Breckheimer, I wish you could train all of our agents to send it like this. Okay. So I'm seeing gratitude is what I'm seeing. And I only have 8 to 12 different types of emails. Now, the next phase, you have to determine what those 8 to 12 different types are. If I'm in transaction management, one of those files, new contracts, new files. Now, I love agents, and I was an agent for many, many years, and I was a broker for many, many years. And as an agent, I was an idiot. Okay. And I did not realize that an average agent doesn't close 100 transactions in a year without a team and without admin. I just didn't know that. So I was doing 100 homes per year volume wise, and I didn't have an admin and I didn't have a team. Why? Because I didn't know any better. I was in my early 20s. This thing took off right away for me. I was doing huge volume. But I was married to my hot wife, and I noticed that, 75% of the people in my office looked like they were getting a divorce. So I'm looking at, okay, so how do I do this high volume, but not ruin my marriage? Where do you think my desire for efficiencies came in? That's literally where it came from. That's why I'm as efficient as I am. I blame the fact that I was so madly in love and didn't know any better when I got in this industry. I'm like, I just need to be smarter and figure out how to do this in less hours. So everything became more efficient. So then what I did is I started to categorize everything that happens in my business. So I started to batch. Batch is going to be a key concept, a key phrase in every single one of your email management and task management parts of your system. And every book will teach you that talks about efficiencies and building systems and everything else like that, that you are less effective and less efficient if you stop being reactive and responsive to this email comes in and it's on this topic, so I deal with that. The next email comes in and I deal with that. The next email comes in and I deal with that. The deal is that I should see the emails that out of all the emails I'm getting, it's about 8 different categories, and I actually don't do anything with them other than filter them. As soon as they come in, all I do, and you get super good at this, you literally don't even think when you do it. It's reactive. Once you get really good at it, go through the course, it'll teach you how to do that. But you take the email and you don't do anything with it other than pull it into its category. Now what I do, I don't handle anything in an inbox. Everything is filtered to what type of email it has. Why? Because I am over the top about everything being both efficient and effective. Why do I want it to be efficient and effective? Because I have compassion for both me and everybody that I'm actually serving. And if I'm not efficient and I'm not effective, I'm taking an opportunity to steal that joy from someone. Okay, so what happens is I go to that folder and I handle likes at the same time. I don't have 45 tabs open. Okay. Some of you are grinning because you're thinking of your screen right now. And so I just saw a head shake. Okay. You're thinking of your screen right now. You have 45 tabs open and you handle emails as they come in. You are being reactive. Here's the deal is, I can go ahead and have 3 emails in this category, knock all 3 of those out, have the same tab, 1 or 2 tabs that are appropriate for me to handle that. I can knock them out because I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. I do it, number 1, faster, and my head is only in one area, in one category of this frickin' business. I will do it better. 100% I will do it better. Now, the course dives into that a lot deeper than what I'm going into right now. But the basic concept is that you have to redefine what an email even is to you. Benefit yourself by putting yourself in a better position to have better mental health throughout the day and stop thinking that you're getting too much in your email. Stop thinking that you're getting overwhelmed. Stop thinking that you have so much business that's coming in. If you're getting 300 emails, you don't have that much business coming in. Half of those emails don't even qualify as emails if you redefine what an email is. Email is just something that requires something of me. Half of those don't require anything of me. They're gratitude. They're gratitude in marketing. Let's call it that. Then what's left isn't even 150 emails. It's about 8 to 12 different types. So then you come up with your types. Then every email that comes in, I just ask 3 questions. Number 1, can it be answered in 30 seconds or less? If it can be answered in 30 seconds or less, and I'll just use an example as an admin. Agent emails. David, the Johnsons wanted to schedule their closing on Friday at noon. Now, what I want to reply is not what I'm going to reply. What I want to reply is, hey, listen here, meatball. I was already on the email that actually when the Johnsons said that and copied both you and I in, and you didn't even notice that I was copied in, and I already replied to the Johnsons that I've got that handled. You're just an idiot. Why are you wasting my time right now? I kind of want to just punch you in the neck. Okay, so that might be how I feel, but that's not how I'm going to reply. Okay, if it can be handled in 30 seconds or less, just be done with it. Dude, Johnson, you're the best in the business. I got that all taken care of. We're all scheduled for noon on Friday. Have an awesome day. Just bring me another new contract by the end of business today and we'll be good. Okay. I have fun with them. I poke at them and stuff like that. Okay. But basically I just told them we already got it taken care of. I don't need to go through and so, dude, are you not looking at your emails? We've already talked about this. We've done this. I've already sent you 3 emails that confirm it. And by the way, have you even looked at your calendar? The invite's on your calendar. And it's interesting because it says you've accepted the invite. Meatball. Okay. I don't do any of that. Can you answer it in 30 seconds or less? Yep. I'm all over it. We got that taken care of. You're the best in the business. And then I'm usually going to harass them for more business. Looking forward to, I'm sure you're doing amazing things today. I'm looking forward to getting 1. Wouldn't be surprised if I got 2 new contracts from you before the end of the day. Don't disappoint me. Have a great day. See you later. Bye. Whatever. 30 seconds or less. Second answer is it's an emergency. How many agents will send an email or a lender or a closer or anybody else and they say, and they act as though this is an emergency? You're a professional in this business. You know what a real emergency is and what it isn't. Come on, 95% of anything that anybody says is an emergency is not an emergency. And even if you filtered it, you're going to get through your folders within 2 hours. Anything that you can handle in a 2-hour turn time is freaking amazing response time in this business. Now, I love my agents because I used to be one and everything else like that. But admin, if an agent reaches out to you, they want to reply in 10 minutes. If you reach out to them, you're lucky if you get a reply the same day. Okay, 2-hour turn time is reasonable turn time. Okay, you know what emergency is. Filter it as your professionalism. Filter it whether it's an emergency or not. And if it's an emergency, grow up. You know you have to deal with it. Take care of it. Okay. If it's 30 seconds or less, just be done with it. If it's an emergency, handle it. How many of your emails are going to be an emergency? Typically, I was dealing with, as a transaction coordinator, I rarely had less than 100 files going at any given time. I almost always was able to handle 100 files simultaneously from contract to close. Okay. And I always did that in 40 hours or less a week. If there was more than 1 to 3 emergencies, legitimate emergencies per week, I was shocked with that kind of volume. Those are real numbers. I'm not making that stuff up. Most things are not the emergency that everybody thinks it is. Okay. And if it get handled in 2 hours, you're fine. Okay. So that means 30 seconds or less, those are done because I'm not going to let those pile up. If it's an emergency, I take care of it. You maybe 1 to 3 of those per week. They almost never happen if you're doing your business right and doing it well at a high level. And then the third one doesn't fit the first 2 categories. Flip and put it in a folder. Move over to the side. What are your categories? What are your 8 to 12 categories? Move it over there. Now, my boss used to make fun of me. He's like, I'm pretty sure your brain will explode if you have more than 1 email in your inbox unread. Because I'm a 0 email dude. I want everything at 0 all the time. And then when I would leave work, he used to love to email me from the time I left my desk to the time that I got to my car and go, by the way, there's a new email in your inbox, because you used to like to harass me. And then I would just quickly reply before I started the car, not anymore. Okay. He always liked to have one unread email in my inbox, and usually it was him. And then I would just reply to him, not anymore. So here's the deal is, as emails come in, I don't even think about it. I just look at it. Can I answer it in 30 seconds or less? Be done. Is it an emergency? Most likely not. From there, that means that 95% of every email that I'm going to get, technically, as long as it's handled in the next couple hours, we're good to go. And so I just filter it. Now what do? Now I start just going through my folders. And each folder might have 3 items, 5 items, 2 items, whatever it is. And what I do throughout my day is I actually knock out batched activities. Why? Because I'm more efficient and I'm more effective if I do it that way. Okay. Now, there's way more than that in the course and stuff, but that's some of the things that you're going to see is around that batching. I would say a couple things that you're going to get. Number one, you're going to redefine where your mindset is when you look at your email. Just redefine it. Number two, the way that you filter through your emails, rather than being reactive and responsive all day, you're going to see that there are different kinds of email. And I'm going to recommend, and I can recommend this in other areas of your business, you will batch activities, batch-like activities. I can bring that into an operations manager's role. I can bring that concept into a salesperson's role. I can bring that into everybody's role that I'm going to recommend. If you sat down with me and we coached, I'm going to look at all of your activities, all the hats that you wear and everything, and you are not going to jump from thing to thing to thing to thing. We're going to look at batching your activities, and you're going to become both more efficient, and you'll become more effective, which is the goal. Okay. So this has nothing to do. I loved what you had said earlier, Renee, that I don't know if it applies to me or not. This stuff applies to every single role, period. So the concepts that we're talking about email management are the same concepts that I would use in other areas as well that have nothing to do with email management. Okay. It's about life and just living a better life. Okay. Now from there, another thing that you will get in the email management is I will say that the course specifically, to keep it on track, I have to use an example of a role. Okay, so if you deal with transaction coordination or transaction management, you're the lucky contestant today, because it just so happened that I've taught this concept in this class about 1 million times to different coaching clients and teams and everything else like that. And here's what happens is I'm going to teach it a little bit different per role, but the major concepts are the same, and I didn't want to jump all over the place. So in that course, it just so happened I was doing a transaction coordinator class, and they're the ones that I'm like, I just can't say this again. So I just recorded it. And so I said, I just got done working with transaction coordinators, so they're my example in this particular course. So don't go through the course and think, well, this is about transaction management, it doesn't apply to me. 100% applies to you. Agents, ops, everybody. Okay. You're going to hear about the 5x5 over and over again till you're sick of it, because it is my jam. It's how I filter. Everything is filtered through the 5x5 with me. If anything I say, if I can't look at it and say, how's that filtered through being scalable, duplicatable, freakishly efficient, predictable, effective, efficient, that kind of stuff. And if it doesn't bring peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion to me and everybody I interact with, it's garbage. It could be better. I could be better and I could do better. Okay. So those are some of the basic concepts just around that email management. Does anybody have anything that they just absolutely, I mean, kind of start out, if you've got any questions or anybody, I don't mind literally 100% disagreement either. It just makes for better dialogue. But what is some of the initial thoughts? Because this is a learned skill. Okay. And I want to ask your guys' opinion on something, but I would recommend everybody kind of write down the next thing. and think about how it applies to your role. Because I guarantee you that if we had a one-on-one, I can apply this next concept to your role. So I'm just going to, because the course is talking to transaction coordinators, I'm just going to use that as the example here so we're consistent. I think the average transaction coordinator, to do their job at a higher, to play that game at the highest level, I think an average transaction coordinator thinks that one of the keys is they need to really dial in their transaction management systems. I think that's about where most people stop. And I think that's sad and pathetic. Okay, because here's what I know about transaction coordinators that have amazing transaction management systems. They're still stressed. They still, maybe sometimes at work, but sometimes go home after work and cry. They hate their life. They're still working nights, still working weekends. Having a dialed in transaction management system is not the answer. To play transaction management at the highest level is not built on one system. It's built on 3 systems. So here's the 3 systems, and I could apply this to many, many, many roles. And if we dealt one-on-one, we'd figure out what your 3 are, but these 3 generally apply. For transaction management, you need 3 systems. You need a system for transaction management. And every aspect of that transaction management, I will audit it against the 5x5. Is every aspect, without exception. Is it all scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, effective, and efficient? Does it produce for both you, your agents, your vendors, and your clients? Does it produce peace, contentment, and joy? And is it fully informed by compassion and gratitude? If it does not meet all 5x5 of that criteria, we can just improve it a little bit. Second system, you need an email management system. So here's what happens in our industry. You need to have a dialed in transaction management system, but handle email however you darn well please. What? As a transaction coordinator, you think your transaction management system is important. How is 95% of your transaction management job done? It's done by email. And you get to just handle that as it comes in, and you just get to handle that any way you want? What? That is such a ridiculous concept. Now, I could say almost the same thing for every other role in this industry. Number 3, this is the third system. You need to have a communication standards / system. I'm going to give you one example of what that looks like. Agents admin. By the way, this is not your agents to your admin. This is not admin to agents. This goes both ways, and this would be everywhere across the team. I'm just going to use this one example. Is we have a communication standard. Is assume that nobody who calls anybody will ever answer the phone. Always assume that. If they do, it's just a gift. But assume that they won't. And agents, the reason why you're when your agent or when your admin calls you, they should assume that you're not going to answer the phone. You got on a team and you have an admin because you're busy and you need leverage. And then you called them and said, call me. What on God's green earth makes you think they're actually going to get a hold of you? Didn't you actually hire them, and don't you actually have them because you need leverage and you're busy? If you need leverage and you're busy, why would they think that you're just sitting around waiting for them to call them back? You're going to be busy. It's ridiculous to say, call me. It's a recipe for a waste of time. So what is it? So we have a communication standard and system. What it is this: assume when you call that you'll get a voicemail. If you already know that you're going to get a voicemail, there's only 2 voicemails that are acceptable. This is called a standard and a system. What are the 2 voicemails that are acceptable? I would implement this on every one of your teams. And this doesn't matter if it's the owner or team lead calling an admin, doesn't matter if it's the owner, team lead calling an agent. This goes to everybody on the team. You're only allowed to leave 2 messages. 1, leave enough actionable information so the other person can do something about it. Leave enough actionable information so someone can actually do something about it. Number 2, leave enough information to end the freaking conversation. Okay. Hey, Joe, I got your last message about X, Y, and Z. I got that taken care of. That's all scheduled. We're good to go. There's no reason for you to give me a call back, but I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know we are good to go. End of conversation. Those are the only 2 voicemails. Why? Don't you want to be efficient and effective? So transaction management, email management, completely separate from transaction management, and a communication standard and communication system. Okay. Now I can go real deep in each one of these, as you can imagine, but you get the general idea. Is if you have 2 of these 3, you will struggle in transaction management. If you have 2 of these 3 in listings management, you will struggle. If you're an operations manager and you have 2 or 3 of these, 2 out of 3, you will struggle. You need to have all 3. Okay. So that's what it takes to play these games at the highest level. And I would take each one of these and I'll compare them to the 5x5. And I would recommend to you that when you get that link for those graphics for 5x5, I'm okay if you take that 5x5 and go, I don't like this. It kind of bugs me just a little bit. That's fine. It's a Canva graphic you can edit. Okay. Put better words in it. I hope you're all 10 times better than I am. I'm good with that. Okay. And I want to see your copy because I'll start stealing that. That's good. Okay. But it's okay if you don't use the 5x5, but you have to have something that replaces it that's at least that good or better. That's not negotiable. So you'd use that 5x5 or whatever is better, and everything that you do, your systems, from communication standards and systems, email management, transaction management, listing management, operations, onboarding agents, recruiting agents, lead gen. I mean, you guys know every single role that's in this business. Every single one of these I can apply. And I would have everybody on the team so that they will have more peace and contentment. I don't think it's a bad thing to have everybody on the team go through the email management course. And because it's free, I'm going to make a ton of money by everybody going through it. So that's cool. I'm just kidding. So who cares? It's free. It's a free resource out there. Now, last thing I'm going to say, I've been so good because I've been sick for 11 days and it took me this long to start coughing. But I feel great and I got good energy. Here's the deal is the last thing that I will say about all of this is we talk about teams culture, and how important culture is. Every culture that's ever come up, ever in history, language is a big part of every culture. It's huge. Teams I have, how much do you think our language matters? Like nobody's business. When someone says, I get 300 emails per day. No, you don't. He's blowing up my email. Every aspect of their language matters. Period. Okay. And so part of when you have the whole team go through, say, something like an email management, I don't care if it's email management. I don't care what courses you guys go through. But if everybody goes through the same thing, everybody gets the same information, and you pull language from that. You have unified language. Unified language matters. And if you've got some language that is unhealthy in your team, don't just get rid of it and say that it's not acceptable. Give them a better way to think and give them a better replacement. So don't say, I don't want to hear you ever again say I get 200 emails, or that they're blowing up my email or blowing up my text. Give them a better alternative. That's what courses like this can help do, that is you can find a better language, because I truly believe with all my heart, your language helps determine your culture. And your language actually affects your mental health. And nobody can convince me otherwise on that. Your language affects your mental health, and your mental health matters 24 hours a day. Any comments, questions, complete disagreements?
how do you feel about email notifications on your phone?
Okay, so that's a good one. So let's say a lot of times where they come from. Okay, so I'm just going to give a scenario. I'm going to talk about agents, admin. My agents would know this from me. The language, because this does apply to language for notifications, is admin think it's okay to say, I need to set boundaries. That's very unhealthy language. Everything's about relationships, isn't it? For me anyways, okay? Everything's about relationship. Really? Forget real estate. I'm going to go into my relationship with my wife. I just met her. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about boundaries. Isn't boundaries kind of a confrontational way to look at things? Really, I'm going to have my best version of a relationship by talking about boundaries and setting boundaries and understanding my boundaries? Come on. We all know better than that. There's a better way to do that. So what it is you set proper levels of expectations. If we set proper levels of expectation and everybody understands, and most important, honors. If I hear one more person talk about how important systems are, I'm going to scream. Here's what matters. It's not about having systems. It's about having systems we will honor. The honor is what's important. So now on notifications, here's what my agents know, okay? I don't tell them what my boundaries are. Don't call our admin on nights and weekends. They got boundaries. They get to have their nights and they get to have their weekends. I tell my agents this. Here's the deal is, don't ever worry about my boundaries. If you're thinking about something at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you don't call and tell me what you're worried about because you're worried about my boundaries, you are freaking fired. Now, why would I say that? That scares half the admin, okay? Because of this, is if you're trying to protect, honor, and respect my boundaries, and you go, you know what, I don't want to bother her this late at night. I'll wait till tomorrow. Here's what I know what's going to happen. You're so going to screw this up. You aren't going to remember this tomorrow. That's something we needed to know, and you're going to screw it up. Don't be an idiot. Here's the deal is, it is not your job, and this is the key phrase that I tell agents, it is not your job to worry about, protect, or respect my boundaries. That's my job, and I'm freaking brilliant at it. I'm amazing at it. So here's the deal. If you're thinking about something at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, call. Because guess what? You ain't bugging me. I ain't taking your call anyways. I'm okay with them calling all night, all weekend. Because if they've got something on their mind, I want it off their mind. If both they and I agree that the proper level of expectation is what they are telling me is something that we both have agreed is something that I own in the business, and they know that it can be handled the following business day, they have the right to own sense of urgency if they just want to take care of it, okay? But if we have an agreement, proper level of expectation that number one, I own that, and it's okay to handle it the following business day. Proper level of expectation, you can leave a message, I will not be answering, so it doesn't really matter. You're literally not bothering me a bit. And if you literally are having a hard time conveying your message, and so you got to call 3 times back and give me more detail, because you're just not your best version of yourself that day, so you got to call me like 3 times to let me know the one thing that you wanted, okay? You're not bothering me. So I don't mind notifications because I can look at those notifications and they don't bother me because I know this. The person on the other side, we have a proper level of understanding. There is no tension, there is no anger, there is no disappointment on the other side that I didn't answer in any way, shape, or form because we have a proper level of understanding. Now, what do I get? I get the boundaries that I so desired. So the reward is that you have boundaries, you get your nights and you get your weekends by giving proper levels of expectation, and you build a system around proper levels of expectation. What's the most important thing about a system? Whether you will frickin' honor it or not. I have a gal that just told me in a coaching call, she goes, you're going to be so proud of me, because she answers her phone all night long and all weekend long. She goes, you're going to be so proud of me because I set those proper levels of expectation with my agents. And one called me on Saturday. He called like 3 or 4 times. And I finally picked up the phone and I said, Joe, I'm not available. I'm on a boat. And I said nothing. She goes, I wasn't supposed to answer the call, was I? No, you're not even supposed to answer the call. What did you just do? You just told them that you're not going to answer the call. It's okay to call. You're not bothering me. What you did is you didn't honor your own system. And now what you've done is you've made it a little gray. Figure out what the system is. Set proper levels of expectation. Your boundaries will be your reward, but you need to honor them. So the notifications, I literally don't care because they're not going to bother me all night or all weekend. They can call 20 times and I'm all good with that because nobody expects me to pick it up. Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question. So
Yes.
I understand the concept of batching and then
Yeah.
working through the different folders that you put things into, but how do you deal with emails coming in while you are working through the folders?
Okay, so let me do this. Now I have no idea what anybody's going to ask me, so I don't even know if I've got this set up to be able to show you a great example of this, but I'm going to try. Okay, here's an example of a transaction management calendar, the way I do transaction management. Okay, now on transaction management I'm going to use one example, appraisals. I check appraisals on Tuesday and Thursday. I don't check appraisals when every day. I don't check appraisals when people ask me about them. I check appraisals every Tuesday and Thursday, like it's a freaking religion. That's what I do. Why? Because I know that the average appraisal is going to take 5 to 7 days before it gets onto the lender's desk and we actually get the results back after it's been done. I know, though, that the average person, if they don't hear something in 2 to 3 business days, they're going to ask me, have you heard anything about the appraisal? And it's not polite to reply back with, hey, listen here, meatball. Are you not in this business? Don't you know what's typical right now? It's 5 to 7 days before we hear the answer. No, I don't know the answer. And no, the lender doesn't know the answer. They're just going to ask. So what's my goal is to be freakishly predictable. I know that the appraisal is going to take 5 to 7 days, the results, before I get it. I know people are going to start asking me 2 to 3 business days into it. So what I'm going to do is from the day of the actual appraisal, I'm going to check with the lender 1 to 2 business days so that I'm ahead of both these other 2. So Tuesday and Thursday, if I check appraisals on Tuesday and Thursday, am I not always within 1 business day? Mathematically, it's almost impossible for me not to be within 1 business day, which means this, I'm ahead of everybody. Okay, so this was just an example of what a TC calendar would look like for me. So you notice I come in and the first thing I do in the morning is I sort my emails. Okay, and then from there, I start taking care of these batch tasks. So on a Tuesday and Thursday, what's one of my batch tasks? Appraisals. I check appraisals. So there's my appraisals. I check for weekly update requests, wells and septics, associations, and then I process my PAs. Then from there at 11 o'clock again, I start to dive into my folders. Why? Because in this meantime, a number of emails have come in and I filtered them. Took care of the ones that were 30 seconds or less and anything that was an emergency, which is never going to be more than 1 to 3 a week. I'm surprised if I get any. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to catch up on other things. Then I'm going to be able to check everything at 2 o'clock again. I'm going to check everything at 4 o'clock again. I just jump back into my email folders. So yeah, absolutely, I schedule it. I'm freakishly predictable on everything I do.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm a little over the top on some of the stuff, but I get it. But yeah, this is how I actually process. And you will notice that I time block everything is Monday through Thursday. Everything other than my, the multiple times I got to do my emails per day, everything is time blocked prior to noon. And you'll notice, unless a new PA comes in on a Friday, I time block nothing on a Friday, ever. What I would end up doing is I'm able to time block my calendar so that I batch everything, which allows me to handle 100 files for transaction management, 100 files simultaneously in less than 40 hours a week. But 85% of what I do on transaction management is done Monday through Thursday before noon. So I literally can handle 100 files Monday through Thursday before noon and account for almost 85% of anything that's ever going to happen in this business. And why? Because I know what are the repetitive, typical tasks, and I batch them and I handle them all on the same time, same day, every single week, not as they come in. And I have them scheduled, so I'm actually ahead of when they would come in. So who initiates 95% of every email that goes out? Right here, me. I'm the initiator. So who is reactive and responsive? Everyone other than me. Who are they being reactive and responsive to? This guy. I run the show because I've thought enough about what it takes to be 85% predictable, so I'm ahead of everybody. I'm the one who initiates almost everything in the file, and I don't care if I'm on the buyer or seller side. That's just one example. I would do the same thing in ops. I would do the same thing as an agent, everything else like that. I have a thought process on this on every single one of these, and it works for me. So I can still have an amazing marriage and not work more than 40 hours a week and handle just freakish levels of volume. That stuff matters to me. I mean, that might not be everybody's driving force. You know, that's my driving force. So that's my gig. Anybody who knows me knows I'm pretty whipped. So, and I'm good with that. Totally good with that. I know that we're a couple minutes over. My next thing isn't for a couple hours. Not saying that I'm going to sit here for a couple more hours, but I'm open to any other questions if anybody's got some. And if not, that's okay too. I hope this was helpful to somebody. Maybe just gave you a different mindset or a different way of kind of looking at a few things. Okay.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you offer some sort of coaching on how to like do all of this within, like, for instance, my husband and I work together as a team,
Sure.
and we're having 3 new agents join our team,
Sure.
and we're already working, like we do have transaction coordination, which helps a lot.
Okay.
But we definitely, we work 24/7. Like there's no boundaries, there's no nothing. Like I set my boundaries at like I'm done by 9:30 p.m. just because my brain is fried, but my husband could be working until 12 a.m., you know, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't
So yes, I do coaching. Yes, I do have like pre-recorded courses and everything else like that. One thing that you guys will get, and I'm going to give you one statement that I will challenge you on, is when you get this little link, which I just have to remember to send it. If I forget, please call me out on it. Where is it? Okay, right here. It's towards the top. I didn't put this page together, so I had to look. This is, if you view, so there is a $12 a month membership that we've got, this $12 a month membership. And what it does is it gives you access to all of our pre-recorded stuff, all of our courses and everything like that. So we have 8 courses right now, from leadership to TC management to, I have a gratitude and meditation course, all that kind of stuff, because I think it all applies. Basically, there's, I don't know, there's probably 40 hours of recorded content in there for $12 a month. So you can access it, and it gives you access to all of our tools. It gives you access to all of our, I think we've got right now probably 60 graphics. So you guys don't even have to create your own graphics for all of your systems and tools and everything. They all open up in your Canva and stuff. It's $12 a month. So yes, that would be one way that you can go through courses and stuff like that. Second way is, do I do coaching? I do. I usually have a waiting list, but I have a number of people that I've coached for years that run very successful business, and 3 of them are joining us over the next couple of months to be Cultivate Wins coaches. But here's one thing, not saying you're going to like this statement, but if I'm your coach, here's probably what you're going to hear, okay? Just based on what you just told me. And this would, I'd probably say, I need your husband on this call too, so both of you hear this, okay, is anybody who knows me knows that it's pretty hard to get me to swear, because it's just not part of my verbiage. It's not part of my language. So I'm going to use the word frick, and I think you know what I'm saying, okay? So here's the deal is I have a gal that on her screen, I'm sorry, it's, I'll say shiced, because that's what it is for her, not frick, it's shiced. It says, get shiced done is what's on her screen. No matter what she's working on, that's her backdrop on her screen. And let me just tell you, she is a freak of nature. What she can get done is amazing. But here's the thing is, she works 70, sometimes on a bad week, 90 hours a week. It's ridiculous. And I said, here's the deal is, you can get so much done, it's amazing, and you will not stop until you get it done. And you have taken that as a sense of pride. And you're proud of that you get stuff done. I'm going to say stuff. She doesn't say stuff. She talks more like a sailor than I do. Okay. You get stuff done. And I said, finish that sentence. She said, what do you mean by that? And I said, finish the sentence. What's the truth? She says, I get stuff done. I said, no, you don't. You get stuff done at any cost. That's the full statement. Are you willing to claim that statement as your truth? And she goes, I hate to admit it, but that's 100% true. I said, most people who have a sense of pride in themselves that they just get things done. Here's the other thing. You now are going to destroy the lives of not just your life, your marriage. You now have taken that, and that has been your routine for the last 3 to 5 years on your team. And you now expect the same thing out of your team. So now your team also works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nice culture. Are you proud of it? You get stuff done at any cost. That's the real statement. And you need to claim that that's the truth. And I said, now here's my challenge to you. Are you willing to talk about get stuff done? What would it take for me to get stuff done within 40 hours or less a week? And everything that we talk about will be within that context moving forward. And if we can't get it done in less than 40 hours a week, we either have to change what the goal is or change what the timeline of the goal is. And you won't accept anything less from the rest of your team as well. Because the rest of your team has put their own marriages, their own lives in jeopardy based on what you have created as that team culture. And that was a rude awakening for her. So from a coaching perspective, I'm very loving, but I'm also very hard. I'm going to be pretty honest. I think that's where a lot of people that work those many hours, they feel that they just have to work until they get things done. And I don't believe that that's healthy. I think there's a better way to do it. I really do. And so that's what I really focus on in that kind of area. I hope that helps a little bit. Okay. It's a great point. It's a great
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, it's crazy common in our industry, though. I think when I got in this business, that's why I saw so many, in my opinion, so many divorces in the office that I was in. It seemed like everybody was either going through a divorce, had gone through a divorce, or was on their second or third marriage. Now, I'm not saying that is every brokerage across the country. I'm saying that's the office I entered into, and that stuck out to me. I said, how would I not end up with that? And so that really influenced how I move forward on my business. And by the way, I came from a divorced family, so I already knew what I didn't want. And then I saw it right in the industry that I loved. I'm like, well, that sucks. I saw it at home and now I see it at work like it's a foregone conclusion. And I had really, really decided that was not going to be accepted to me. And so that's the way I think, and that's why I do it the way that I do it, is I want to be better and do better. And peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. Just kind of who I am. Hope that helps. Renee, I'm going to ask you.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Kathleen, thank you for organizing. Really good score with this one. We appreciate it a lot.
All right. I will let everybody go. Renee, was this okay for you? I know that you were wondering if this would apply based on, hopefully there are some things you could apply there. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, thank you so much. I got a ton out of this.
Okay.
This is really going to help me and my team. Right, Julie?
Tons of love. Tons of love, everybody. I appreciate it. I am really grateful to even be thought of or invited to this in any way, shape, or form. And if even there's one thing you can walk away from here other than, you know, Breckheimer is just kind of a bald, old, crazy dude, you know, whatever. But if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I will send you a link so that you can get that resource page, get some free graphics, go through the email management, whatever helps you guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.